What's up, you guys? So as I was scrolling on TikTok literally yesterday, I came across this video that was explaining how the film Anora had no intimacy coordinator on set. When asked if she wanted an intimacy coordinator, Mikey Madison said no. And so instead of considering all the other actors on set, she said she didn't need one, and so there wasn't one. And I guess the cast, or mainly I guess Mikey Madison and anyone representing Sean Baker, is saying the same thing, which is that she felt comfortable, therefore there was no need, and praising Sean Baker for being a director who really cares about his actors and ensuring their comfort. But this is something that I want to talk about a little bit, because as a film student, as a filmmaker, as someone who's directed films and has needed an intimacy coordinator on set, this was very disappointing to hear. And let me explain why. So first things first, some of y'all might not know what an intimacy coordinator is. Basically, an intimacy coordinator is someone who is present on set only for the comfort of the actors that are involved in a scene or scenes where there is nudity or sexual explicit acts. And they're essentially trained to be able to be that person between the actor and the director and ensure the comfort of the performers on set, ensuring that they are comfortable with what they're doing and that they can communicate if there is something wrong or if they feel like they need something. That person is just literally there to ensure that they feel well and they're okay with all the acts that are going on set. I think we all forget that actors are very much human. They've got a job that is very, very vulnerable. To act is a very vulnerable thing to do, right? To get into a character's mindset and their headspace and then actually physically bring out their experiences to life is a very, very sensitive and vulnerable thing to do. So an intimacy coordinator is actually a very new thing in the industry. It didn't exist, I guess, even like 10 years ago. It's something that recently came up, especially after the Me Too movement, because as you guys probably know, the industry can be and is very exploitative, and a lot of women have been sexually exploited and taken advantage of by big head producers and directors. So now it's important and crucial to have these intimacy coordinators on set to represent them and to protect them. And so that's why it's so disheartening to hear that on the set of Anora, which if you've seen the film, is a very, very explicit film with a lot of nudity, a lot of sexually explicit scenes, and also a lot of scenes of physical violence, just didn't have an intimacy coordinator. It's not just Mikey Madison who would need that intimacy coordinator. The men on set also deserve to have an intimacy coordinator. It's almost like they asked Mikey Madison and she said she was good, so they're like, forget the opinions of all the men on the set that might want to have an intimacy coordinator, given that they are also involved in these explicit scenes, or the other strippers that are showing off their bodies and doing all these also explicit scenes on set, who might also feel more comfortable if they were to have someone on set specifically for their comfort. Like, forget everybody else. As long as the lead actress says she's good, we don't gotta spend any of our budget on one. I think it's absolutely crazy. The thing is, Sean Baker is definitely a loved director. Like, people really love Sean Baker and his work. And I can't lie, of course, he tells incredible stories, incredibly complicated and sensitive stories in a way that is very humorous, but also allows the audience to feel for these characters who often get forgotten about in real life. He also had a very organic come up in the industry. He started off as an indie filmmaker with no budget to his name. I mean, he literally made the film Tangerine on an iPhone. And so he was able to build his way up in the industry literally through talent and hard work. People really respect Sean Baker and his work, and I'm sure that actors love to work with him, but just because people say really good things about a director does not dismiss them of the responsibility to still hire someone on set to ensure the comfort of all the performers involved. Because the thing with being a director and an actor is that there still is a hierarchy to things, and there still is a power dynamic going on. The director has all the power on set, right? It's their vision that's coming to life. It's whatever they green light versus red light that will or won't happen. So even though people think actors are really, really important, and you know, if you're a big name actress, you can probably have a little more leverage on set, it still is not the actress's call to make any decisions, and that obviously creates, like I said, a power dynamic. So given this relationship between a director and an actor, it is not uncommon for an actor to feel uncomfortable being honest with the director about what they're okay with and what they're not okay with. And that's exactly why an intimacy coordinator is a role that has been established to be able to be that middle person that can translate and communicate that information to the director so that the actor doesn't either feel too intimidated to speak up for themselves or does that but feels uncomfortable and maybe is not as honest about how they're feeling because they don't want to disappoint the director. Regardless if every single performer on set said that they were comfortable and didn't need an intimacy coordinator, it is a very important precedent that should be set going forward on any film set whatsoever. The minute we start to see an intimacy coordinator as something that may or may not be important, it easily becomes a role that gets dismissed, undermined, and forgotten about, especially on sets where it is crucial for them to be there, right? It shouldn't just be, oh, the director and the actor have a great relationship, so we're good. They should be hired to be on set regardless, so that if anything comes up or if anybody else on set, not just the performers, but even crew that are on set witnessing these scenes, needs someone to give them some support or to advocate for them, there is someone there to do that. We know that this industry is very ugly. Like I said earlier, there have been so many cases of actors being taken advantage of. And this role has literally been created to protect women and to protect vulnerable people, to ensure the comfort of actors and performers. Just for good practice, an intimacy coordinator should have been there. And also, it takes a load off of the director, right? Like, of course, the director works very closely with their actors and ensures their comfort and is having lots of conversations about the film and about what's taking place. But it's nice to know that there is someone specifically in place to ensure that your actors are comfortable and that they're okay with what's going on and that isn't your sole responsibility alone. As a student in film school, I can say that literally for student films alone, a lot of unions will require an intimacy coordinator, even for scenes where there's no real nudity and there aren't any scenes of sexual intimacy. They will still require an intimacy coordinator, even if it touches those grounds. For example, one of my friends is directing a film where the characters are playing a game, and every time someone loses, they have to take off a bit of their clothing. And by the end of that scene, they're all in like their boxers or just shorts and a tank top, but no one is actually nude. And yet, because one of her actors is a union actor, we had to get union permission to be able to film with her on set. The union required that we have an intimacy coordinator on set for the comfort of all the performers. And they've looked at the script, so they know what the story entails and they know how much or how little we are doing. And of course, we were happy to bring one on set because, again, it ensures the comfort of our actors. It ensures that there is 100% consent all throughout filming, and no one leaves set feeling like they did something that they weren't okay with. I feel like Hollywood, especially male directors, are still not taking this role seriously, and they're still not taking protecting women on set as seriously as they should. Like I said, having a great relationship with your actress, having worked with them in the past, or just being a very friendly director doesn't mean that you can completely dismiss this role. And I feel like the reason why a lot of directors, especially male directors, don't want to have an intimacy coordinator on set is because they don't want to have that person in the way of their work. They don't want to have this person that could potentially say something that might mean that the director has to change the way that they've decided to film something, right? I think they would much rather have that out of the way so that it doesn't end up being a potential roadblocker. Like, for example, if you want an intimacy scene to go on longer than it should, but your actress isn't comfortable and there's no intimacy coordinator on set, maybe the actress is not comfortable telling the director that, and the director can go on with that scene, doing it however they please, and the whole time the actor is still uncomfortable. Whereas if there was an intimacy coordinator on set, maybe the actress or the actor is not comfortable, they tell the intimacy coordinator, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, this scene feels like it's a lot longer than it needs to be, whatever, and the intimacy coordinator works with them, works with the director, tells the director that, and the scene gets adjusted ever so slightly for the comfort of the actress. I think that is part of the reason why a lot of directors won't have intimacy coordinators on set, because they don't want to have to deal with that in the first place. They don't want to have that conversation at all. It should be mandatory for any set that has any level of nudity or explicit scenes involved to have an intimacy coordinator to ensure the comfort of the crew and the cast, so that we can have an industry that takes care of its workers a lot better, and so that people can be on set and not be in danger of potentially being taken advantage of, to ensure that those who are working on this film are protected, especially, like I said, given how vulnerable the work can often be. I just want to end this video by saying that I really hope that the industry moving forward does a better job of protecting people who work on film sets, including actors and crew that are working on set. Because for the longest time, the industry has been so rigorous and so unfair to people. Actors and actresses have been exploited and taken advantage of multiple times, and crew on set have been worked to the bone and worked overtime, and their safety has not even been considered. Like, a lot of time, below the line crew members are being asked to do things that are unsafe or to work hours that that they're unable to work. It has just been an ugly industry for so long for those of us who work behind the scenes. And I really hope we make those changes that are necessary moving forward. An intimacy coordinator was and is a great step moving forward. And I do hope that it's taken seriously, even on sets where there isn't any sexual violence or any nudity or any explicit scenes. A lot of the times an intimacy coordinator will be invited to come on set just because the material or the content of the film is very sensitive and could really hurt the mental well-being of the performers and of people on set. And so they're a great addition to have. And if student filmmakers are being required to have intimacy coordinators on set, and of course our films are very low budget and our films oftentimes won't have that level of explicitness to them just because us as students, you know, there are limitations to what we can do. If we're being asked to have intimacy coordinators, I don't see why an industry size set and a set with a budget of however $1 million isn't required to have one as well. Those are my 2 cents on the situation. Let me know what you guys think about the situation. I know some people are like, it's not that serious, it's not that deep, like why are you guys freaking out? But if that is the take that you had, I hope I kind of gave you some insight that changes your mind a little bit. And if there's anything that I haven't mentioned that you thought of, please leave it in the comments down below. If you have not subscribed already, what is you doing, bruv? And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.